Welcome to the Madroit Podcast. We bring you bite-sized marketing and sales insights to help you level up, no matter the size of your business. Tune in and answer the big question, what does marketing actually do?
Hello and welcome everyone. Jordan and Winston back with you. And today we're diving into one of the most important aspects of marketing and business, profitable marketing. So when we say profitable marketing, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, we're talking about how to maximize your return on investment, ROI, track the right metrics, budget effectively, and align your marketing spend with your business's growth stage. Because marketing isn't just about getting your name out there. It's about making sure you understand how every dollar you spend is working for you.
So everybody in marketing knows we love a 3-letter acronym. So let's start with what is ROI in marketing?
Simply put, it's a measure of how much revenue you generate for every dollar spent on marketing.
Yeah, so I think basic formula that we've seen put out there is ROI is revenue from marketing minus cost of marketing divided by marketing cost. A positive ROI means that your marketing is profitable. A negative ROI, that's a sign that you may need to be looking at adjusting that strategy. The key is tracking the right metrics to ensure you're actually measuring what matters. And I think we've talked at length together, but then also with some of our clients that we don't typically believe in vanity metrics and the fluff necessarily. We want to get right down to brass tacks so we can show what's working, what's not working, and make informed decisions as we go forward. So speaking of tracking, what are some of those key metrics for you that matter most?
Yeah, revenue generated, how much revenue is directly attributable to your marketing efforts, right? That's great. There's slippage, right? Things fall through the cracks. You can't track everything. So ultimately, from a business perspective, you want the whole company to succeed and what's the ROI of the whole company, right? But talking just marketing here, focus on that area of the business. So it's revenue generated, opportunities created, how much potential sales or leads did you in your marketing generate? What would you add?
Yeah, I think those are two crucial ones for sure. Opportunities created is huge, but I think marketing spend is another one. Make sure you have a good gauge of what you're investing in each channel of your marketing plan. And if you want to go a little bit deeper with some of these, we can look at customer acquisition cost or CAC to determine how much does it actually cost for you to acquire a new customer. How long do ads have to run? How many ads they need to see prior to them coming and taking that action? Another good one, lifetime value of a customer. I think this is one where we've talked with a number of our clients about and got them thinking about, okay, what is the lifetime value of my customer and how much revenue does that customer generate over a lifetime of working with you? Additionally, conversion rates. I think this is a great metric just from the standpoint of it can determine so many different things for you in your marketing. And there's a great opportunity here to align marketing and sales together on this to determine what's coming through, the rate that we're converting them, and then ultimately how many sales dollars are coming as a result of those conversions. So ultimately, we're looking at tactics that are turning leads into paying customers. The good news, there's a lot of tools out there that can really help you track these, aren't there?
Yeah, so that's good and bad news, right? Because you can get metrics from too many places at once or be tracking too many of them, which don't get me wrong, like from a marketing perspective, someone should have eyes on those, but from a leadership position in a company, shouldn't be on every single one. You should have someone who is in charge of that ideal scenario, right? And this all depends on the growth stage, which I'm sure we'll get into in a bit, but a lot of tools out there. It's just, I think setting up the time to review those and making sure you're tracking the right ones from the right sources.
Yes. And I think the next step here is how are we determining what tactics do we have in place that are going to determine ROI for us? So we're looking for things that make it easier to determine ROI. We're not looking to generate a lot more work, but if you're running marketing campaigns and you don't know which ones are actually working, then you're quite honestly, just to be blunt, throwing money away. You don't know what's working. You don't know what's sticking. You don't know what's effective. As a result of that, you are basically throwing money into a black hole. So here's a few tactics that give you clear ROI insights. First one is UTM tracking links. So that stands for Urchin Tracking Module. And these help you track exactly where traffic and conversions are coming from, be it through your website, be it from email, be it from ads, you name it, they can track it. Win, hit us with some other ones.
Yeah. I mean, along with UTM tracking, send someone to a very specific page, usually in that case, right? So you can track a dedicated landing page, which might have different offers, different testing as far as like design even, but like different offers being the easiest one to think about and really track to see how it's going further down the funnel and like with the sales, right? Did that offer make it all the way through? That bit easier in that sense, right? So dedicated landing pages, dedicated promo codes to unique offers tying into that landing page, but obviously it goes outside of just the landing page. Maybe it's in the email, the social media marketing as well, conference event marketing, right? So many things. So promos, offer codes. One I really like is call tracking, right? You can track from several places to get the source, but then to see how your team's actually doing with handling those calls, that's less of a number gauge, but you can gain a lot of valuable insights about like how is the first contact with someone, how is that conversation going with that person to see if it's a good experience, if you move them through the funnel and ultimately into sales. So yeah, what else?
I think you hit on some great ones there. The last one that I would use to just tie it all together is CRM tracking. It's going to make sure that your sales and marketing efforts are aligned. And I think when we talk about marketing, we talk about sales, there's things, there's measures, there's numbers that both parties want to achieve within a company. But getting those aligned and moving in the right direction is typically where you're going to see your CRM get very heavily involved. And that's the goal, right? Is we all want to attribute revenue properly. We want to make sure we're giving credit where credit is due, essentially. So the key is to set up tracking before you launch your campaigns so that you're not guessing, you're not counting on Ted telling you like, oh yeah, this sale came from this spot. And oh yeah, they did this and this is why they bought. It's all hearsay. That's all speculation to a certain degree. And I think to remove all of that, implement some of these tools that can help you easily determine where things need to be allocated from where your revenue is being generated from.
Yeah.
So with that, next step would be the budget. These can be very interesting conversations based on a lot of factors. But I think one of the biggest questions that we often get from be it new clients, current clients, how much should I spend on marketing? And quite frankly, it depends on the stage that your business is in to even begin to give an educated guess.
Absolutely. And the appetite of the business to grow and push past to the next level and what the goals are, right?
Yep.
Having those objectives really helps define that as well. But yeah, no, we align here, but think of it in a few ways. It can go outside of this for sure, right? But like you have a startup stage, a growth stage of the business where a little bit more established, but you're looking to grow at a better rate than you would see a 20-year company with substantial market share. To those with that market share, established businesses, maybe 7 years plus, each with different breakdowns, right? So like a startup, maybe 10 to 20% of revenue, growth stage, 8 to 12% of revenue goes into the marketing, right? And established businesses, 7 to 10% is the norm that we see. It goes above that sometimes, right? Depending on like the type of business and how much they really need to market in order to keep that market share. But yeah, it all varies and it like where you're at plus the appetite for growth.
I completely agree. And that is truly so dependent on so many different factors. Industry is one that we hear a lot. The level of competition. I think one of the things that we get is, well, I hear that I should spend this much money. And sometimes the answer is, no, you don't necessarily have to. If performance is indicating truly that you're doing good, really well and you're able to grow with your budget at X versus Y, then fantastic. Let's not adjust for the sake of adjusting.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many things, the overall ability to invest in your marketing plan and strategy, because marketing is an investment. Doesn't have to be a gamble. And I think some may treat it that way. But again, if you have these tactics in place to help you attribute ROI to your marketing tactics, then that becomes way less of a gamble and way more of an investment.
Absolutely.
So then to wrap it up here, I think at a bare minimum, you need to be measuring a few things to make sure that everything is being allocated appropriately. So one, revenue from marketing. Are your campaigns, your marketing campaigns, directly contributing to sales? That is a question that you should be able to answer for sure. What else, Win?
Yeah. Opportunities generated, leads and sales from the marketing, also outside of the marketing, because it's all as one whole, right? So depending on if you're B2B or B2C, it's going to vary on how those opportunities are generated, but measuring how many opportunities are generated and then diving into leads later on, like quality and all that. But opportunities generated, marketing spend. So how much are you spending in the marketing channels, i.e. social, email, paid ads, et cetera, that actually drive results? Yeah. What would you add?
I think the last one that I think I'd want to add is just company revenue as a whole. We can sit and we can analyze and we can attribute, but at the end of the day, if the revenue number is going up, I think typically a lot of positive comes from that, right? So I think measuring as a whole, because marketing ties into a number of different areas and has the ability to affect sales, it has the ability to make life easier for multiple folks within different departments of your companies. But ultimately, we want to see that revenue number going up, and we want to make sure that there's appropriate attribution to your marketing channels to make sure that we're seeing that positive growth.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've seen it. Like, how many businesses do we see that are growing but don't necessarily know why? We come in and try to figure out, like, they know why at the core, right? But like their marketing, they're not necessarily sure why. So they don't put much faith in it because they don't see it. So yeah, I think the company revenue as a whole, but then figure out, okay, how is marketing affecting this?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things to show, okay, we implemented this as a part of our marketing plan. If it's paid ads, if it's SEO, if it's whichever tactic you're maybe trying out for the first time, or you've established a new path forward with it. But as a result of the changes that we made, here were the results. So we saw increases in traffic, conversions, but ultimately the traffic and the conversions need to lead to sales.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest goal. And when you can align those all together, that's going to make everybody see a much clearer picture. Thus, everybody's much happier. So just some final thoughts here. Profitable marketing isn't about spending more. That's not the goal. It's about spending smarter. So when you track the right metrics and you invest in high ROI tactics and budget based on your business stage, you can turn marketing from an expense into quite literally a profit center, which is the goal always.
That's all for this episode of the Madroit Podcast. Please make sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions that you want us to talk about on the pod or want to get in touch with us, please visit madroitmarketing.com/podcast. Thanks for listening.